enlisted here. He went over and served with 50th Battalion. So there are two battalions that are known for in Calgary. There is the 10th Battalion, which actually went over with the 1st Contingent and were at the Second Battle of Vimy when the Germans first used gas. They survived the first gas attack. The 10th Battalion was known among the Canadian military as the Fighting 10th because they served in every major campaign the Canadians were involved with. And there was 50th Battalion, and his 50th was what Hugh McShane was serving with. And 50th Battalion became the most well-known battalion in Canadian, in popular culture at the time. Everybody had heard of 50th Battalion. They went over and served, and then after the war, of course, Russia pulled out of the war early because of the Communist Revolution, and Lenin and them pulled the Russian forces out, and then they started fighting the White Russians. So there was the Red Russians, the Communist forces, and the White Russians. They were fighting for control, and the White Russians wanted to go back to the monarchy and everything like that. And the Allied forces, after the Germans, after the armistice was signed with Germany, switched its its view to Russia and what was going on in Russia. So we actually sent a small force to try and back up the White Russians and help them force the Red Russians out. And 50th Battalion wound up going to Siberia to try and support the White Russians. So not really great. They came back in 1919 here to Calgary. We probably felt warm to them even if they came back in the winter time. And they were disbanded in 1920. Now, in total, the 10th Battalion actually got 2 VCs, and the 50th got 1. What it is, John George Patterson. John George Patterson is the famous Calgary VC. For you, those of you who drive McLeod Trail, the bridge over the river right by Lindsay Park, I think it's the Talisman Center now, that is actually the Patterson Bridge, and it is named after Patterson and the VC winner. So, very famous regiments. Hugh McShane, upon his return back to Calgary, he was of course let go, and he joined the fire department. He became the Calgary Fire Department firefighter. Very brave man, not just for his service in the war. As a firefighter, he was fighting a house fire, and he continued rescue operations to try and get the people out of the house. And he actually sustained a significant amount of damage to his lungs because, of course, after the war, the firefighters' equipment is nothing like it is now. So he was breathing in a lot of smoke and that. But he seemed to recover and everything was good. He was stationed down at Inglewood, where the Hose and Hound is now. It wasn't a pub back then, but I bet the firefighters would have loved to have been stationed in the Hose and Hound. But he was down there in the Inglewood Center, and at that time, Calgary had a lot of wood. So prairie fires were very dangerous back then. So they used to send the fire department out to put down grass fires to keep them from hitting the city. So they were sent out to fight a grass fire on the east side of town. They did that, they put it down. When they were driving back in, the steering pin on the fire truck broke, and the fire truck lost control and actually slammed into a light post. At that time, firefighters, that's when they were riding on the outside of the fire trucks. I know you look back and think, they did what? That's when they used to hang on to the side. So a number of them got thrown off and were badly injured, including Hugh McShane. He had a number of broken bones and a head injury. Nothing too serious, but he was definitely injured, and they expected him to make a full recovery and everything would be good. He had a sudden heart attack and died, and they think that the damage from his lungs may have created blood clots, and that one of them may have broken loose and hit his heart. But he is our first firefighter to be killed in the line of duty, so he's got some pretty strong distinctions there. But yes, so he was with 50th Battalion. Today, 10th Battalion is perpetuated by the Royal Winnipeg Rifles and the Calgary Highlanders. They also perpetuate the 50th, and the 103rd is perpetuated by the King's Own